Welcome to another exciting edition to Grove City Hockey Presents
Hockey in our neck of the woods, and you, sir, were a very talked about person towards the end.
I'm a fifth-year senior, kind of. Well, it's my sixth year of college. Incredible.
Hey guys, we want to say thank you to our sponsor, Cut Shield, for bringing you this episode. Make sure you check them out on the link below and use the promo code for 25% off your order. Used by all 32 NHL teams and players, Cut Shield is the premier protective player clothing designed by players for players. Their innovative cut-resistant clothing has prevented serious injury to numerous players, including over 30 NHL players. Cut Shield gives you the peace of mind to go out and play without worrying about injury. Use our promo code Grove City Hockey, all lowercase and no space, for an additional 25% off your order today. Welcome to GCH Podcast, everybody. I'm your host, Ben W. Stock, and with me is a very special guest. I have Grove City Thunderbirds' very own T4 captain, Skyler. How you doing, Skyler?
Oh, buddy, I'm doing fantastic. How are you doing tonight?
Good. And now, your last name, is it Hetrick, or is it something fancier than that?
Nope, it's Hetrick. It's
Way to make it more complicated, huh, Ben?
You know, you think it would have been. It's actually not too bad of a last name, though, growing up playing hockey. I was called Hetrick forever, but little do people know I can't score to save my life. So,
so you're here. I want to talk to you a little bit about how you got into the game, growing up, moving forward through to where you are now. Let's just jump right in. Tell me what is your very first hockey memory that you remember and that made you kind of go, hey, I might like this game and I want to watch it a little bit more and then start playing it?
So I got a couple, I guess I could say. So I started out playing roller hockey. Probably, I don't even know how old I was. Probably like 6, 7, 8, somewhere within there. And I started out at Family Sports Center for, all the people in the Pittsburgh area. It's a decent sized rink up in Butler, PA. And Joe Volach was actually the person who started the trainings for skating and all that other stuff. And he's a big name in the Pittsburgh area for youth hockey. So it's nice to see that he's still doing it. This was like 20 years ago, I feel like. But so I started doing that. And I just remember playing on the bigger rink and just enjoying it, getting along with all the kids. I didn't really stick with hockey too much throughout my childhood. I played, I was playing roller, I was playing deck, but I never completely committed myself to it. So I really enjoyed it. My mom was a huge hockey nut, so that's where the fascination came from, playing hockey and all that jazz. And I guess my first memory, honestly, was watching Sidney Crosby's first shift. I know this is going to be weird, but I remember watching it on TV. I believe they were playing the New Jersey Devils, and I just remember, all the hype coming behind Sid. My mom was freaking out, oh, this kid's the next Mario Lemieux, but you know how many times we hear that nowadays with all the drafts and all that stuff. But I just remember watching him buzzing out there, okay, now this is it right here. Just seeing all the hype and everyone in the Pittsburgh area getting so excited for getting the superstar. So that's what sort of kept me around hockey. And so I was bouncing back and forth between roller, and then I played deck hockey throughout the younger years until about 9th grades. Whenever I switched to ice, I played a year of ice hockey. I still didn't really commit 100%. And then whenever I hit my senior year of high school is when I really was okay, now I'm sort of obsessed with playing compared to just watching the Pens or just, playing beer league or pickup and stuff like that.
Right. That's awesome, man. So you were the original Penguin hockey baby, right? That's just screaming, yeah!
I swear, yep. No, that's 100% it. Always into it. That kid is an icon. I don't know how old he is now, but I salute that kid.
I'm surprised we haven't ran into him yet.
Honestly, at this point.
Yeah. No, it's really cool. No, so like one of my memories is when my uncle, my grandfather took me to my first hockey game, and he caught the puck. But another memory and I talked about that on the pod several times. But another memory that I've never said anything about on this pod was the very first time I got to play on the ice with ice skates. It was pond hockey, legit true pond hockey. Was at the next door neighbor's house to my grandma's. The Lynns. There's James, Kate, Ariana, Matt, Lind. They all had a bunch of guys come over. We were playing puck. And it was the first time that I had ever got a chance to put on ice skates. And I'll never forget, because my uncle was a very good baseball, softball stud. And I'll never forget looking over at him, putting on the skates and just doing the zombie, like, oh, I can't, and like he couldn't skate. And I was just like, are you like kidding me? Like, Uncle Tom, come on, man. Like, you are the shit at everything else. Like, he is like, bar none, was like the guy that I looked up to the most, right? And he can't skate, and I'm like, and again, he probably would tell you like, oh, I can skate, because he's got a very Bill Murray-esque type of personality, and which makes it even funnier. But oh man, we were playing some puck. A guy gets hit in the mouth with the actual biscuit and loses a couple of chiclets, which was the first time that I'd ever seen, that type of situation. Because we're not wearing helmets. It was in. I want to say it was probably like 88, 89, 90. I was 8 years old, if that. And I just remember that was the first time that I'd ever played. So much fun, and I cannot stop laughing in my mind every time that I look over and I just see my uncle trying to skate, and I'm like, and I'm sure he would be like, I was wearing figure skates, and that's all they had, and I was just like, they weren't very sharp, and yeah, that's what it is, bud. That's what we'll go with.
I swear, very humbling experience is watching someone put on the ice skates. So for the first time or first couple of times, like, people think it is so much easier than what it really is, and then you put them on, and it's like, okay, yeah, come back down to reality. I'm not so big on this.
Well, and that's the thing though, is that most people don't realize that you're on a not even an eighth of an inch of a blade. And you're not actually sliding on ice, you're sliding on water, because you're going so fast that it cuts through, it melts the ice, which turns into water. So you're actually gliding on water, when you break down the science of everything. And and again, less than what, 3/8 of an inch, or less than an eighth of an inch of, so that you got to take balance. Takes skill, takes coordination, and you got to have all of that with the right equilibrium to make that work.
Right, and then like a lot of people don't understand too, like people who don't play hockey or understand it. Like, the blade's not like just a straight steel blade; it's like a hollow. So you have your edges, and that's where the edge work comes in. The term you always hear for the people who don't know.
Yeah, exactly. Just think of it like your spoon is bent in a U. And you have to skate on the outside edges, and then you shrink it down. Like, it's that small, I can't think of the actual width of the blade, but it's got to be, 1/100th of a millimeter or something like that. It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
Super sharp, but thank God it doesn't cut some of us. But if you do happen to have some cut resistant gear, I would recommend Cut Shield. That's the best in the game right now. So you got some experience playing some deck hockey. You were in the NBHL, right?
Yeah, so it's a new, at least I believe it's newer to me, I'd say.
Right.
I played a lot of deck hockey growing up. It was close to where I live. It was very convenient. It's very cost friendly too. That was like always a big thing growing up, and made a lot of good friends. It's definitely a good thing to do in the summer too. You know, a lot of ice kids would come to play deck hockey just to stay in shape and stuff like that. So yeah, the NBHL. There's a Pittsburgh division. You know, there's a tier, I believe, 1, 2, and 3. And it's sort of like I like to compare it to my hog just a little bit. Like my hog, there's more traveling. You go, Detroit, Buffalo, Pittsburgh. This stays in the Pittsburgh area. You play, the same sort of teams. And then everyone goes in the Milik Cup, which is over in, I believe, New Jersey. Last year was my first year in the NBHL. I only made it to a handful of games. It's not, the schedule wasn't too friendly for me last year, but it's like a really competitive league. I actually like it a lot. Like a lot of kids take it very seriously. There's a lot of skilled kids there too. Something you wouldn't really expect too much. But yeah, ton of skilled kids. It's a lot of fun. People chirping, people enjoying themselves, and I get to play with some kids I played like that hockey back in the day with, and it's nice, reconnecting and stuff like that.
Yeah, and now, how hard is it going? Because the NBHL is the National Ball Hockey League. Yep. How hard is it going from playing with a ball to a puck, and then especially going from a street hockey ball to a roller puck?
Yeah, so going between the two, like I can't shoot a ball to save my life. I know it's shooting a ball is a little bit different. I've always come to find out. A lot of these players, like especially like the top tier, I swear they put some sort of like curve on it as well. Like it comes in at all different angles. So I struggle with it. Whenever that's like the weird thing too is I play defense when it comes to ball hockey. I just enjoy it more. And then I do for roller, because roller I play offense and like strictly offense. For anyone who knows me, I can't play D to save my life. I think a lot of it has to do with skating. But yeah, so going between the two, it definitely is a struggle. So whenever I'm like going up to like an NBHL game, I at least try to stick handle a little bit with the ball, try to like just mess around with it just to get the feel back. But I'm missing the net pretty frequently whenever I'm playing roller all these weeks, and then go into a one ball hockey game back to roller, and then no time elapsing between the two.
Yeah. So what I've noticed that because I would do I'd play ball hockey with my friends from school. We would play in this just a throwaway league. And what I notice is that if you have more follow through on your wrist, so if you turn your blade, when you take your shot, turn your blade down, that's where you get the curve.
Okay, yeah. So I had coaches like back in the day try to like tell me that, and I never really understood the they weren't explaining to me too well like what that would cause. So that makes a lot of sense now.
Yeah. So if you take it, and you're hitting the ball just behind it, because you don't hit the ball itself, you hit just behind it, get that flex going, and then as it snaps through, you quickly rotate that wrist down so that the blade follows through with the ball, and then that's when you get freaking a bend it like Beckham type shot.
Yeah, like I give all those kids credit that can shoot like that, like, and they can pick corners and everything along with it. It's just like playing ice hockey, roller hockey, like that hockey, like kids can play, like especially whenever you're in this area, like Pittsburgh's huge for hockey, and then you brought up like New York, New Jersey. Like I look at like New Jersey, New York, and Philly as sort of like the triangle, because like playing roller. Whenever I was playing in college, like all the good players, if they weren't from the Pittsburgh region, were from one of those areas. Yeah. And they definitely know how to breed hockey players over there without a doubt.
Yeah, it's crazy. And I just had one of the guys from the New York area, Ryan Marker, on not too long ago. If you haven't had a chance to check that out, check it out. He was talking about, the skill level in New York versus the skill levels, somewhere else. And then, like you said too, is that Pittsburgh area, even though with Hot Shots closing, you're still a hotbed, I think, with potential to even grow even more. Because you guys have a lot of talent. Thanks to and my fiance hates Malkin for some reason. But with Crosby, Malkin, and Letang all back together again, they have a chance to really kind of boost everything up again in the area.
And that's like the thing with it is, those three have been playing together. I think it was 17 years now, something along those lines.
Ridiculous, yeah.
Yeah, ridiculous amount. And I swear hockey has grown just because, Pittsburgh is, 3 Stanley Cups with the trio. Hell, look at Logan Cooley, number 3 draft pick. He literally started in Sid's, learn to play program. He played for the Elite Pens, and now he's tearing it up with Arizona. And it's just cool to see it go like full circle, and it just having those 3 come here because Pittsburgh's almost folded a couple times, or I want to say twice, because of financials and stuff like that. Like if they folded and would have relocated or just shut down, I don't think Pittsburgh hockey would be the same with all the skill set that we have here nowadays.
Yeah, and you have to credit Lemieux and Yager for really bringing those initial investors and Lemieux for kind of keeping it going. Because if it wasn't for him, it would have probably would have crashed and burned. And Tommy Barrasso, one of the best goaltenders of all time, in my opinion.
Yeah, and you have kids I remember when we were playing as kids, Sidney Crosby, and you try to dangle and bar down, and same with Lemieux from kids back in the 90s and stuff like that. So it's definitely really cool how much of an impact they've had on the community around here with all everything that they've done from just producing for Pittsburgh, but they're doing programs left and right. They're donating. It's just so nice to see what they're doing for this area.
Yeah, and that's one of the things that I've really noticed about the Pittsburgh area is that there is a lot of opportunities for youth sports in general. I know you guys got Dick's Sporting Goods, its headquarters based out of Pittsburgh. But I'm seeing you guys' youth high school hockey inline leagues. There's a lot. If I'm looking at the list, I think there's 20, 30 schools or something like that.
Yeah, it's definitely on the bigger side for roller hockey because I went to Butler High School, which is right up the road from where I live, and we had a roller program, and we had some pretty good players run through it as well. And we were playing teams all around the Pittsburgh area, like Seneca Valley, North Allegheny, and those are also teams that produce really great hockey players.
Yeah, and you guys are not that far from Canada too, and you're getting some of those guys coming in across the border as well. And Buffalo. It's just 4-hour drive to Buffalo.
It's about 3 to Buffalo, about 4 to Canada, or I guess 3.5 to Canada. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's the hotbed is right there, and it's pretty cool to see all of that come full circle with how you guys are trying to incorporate the youth and trying to bring this game, and keep it going. I see Jake's doing some great things with GCH down there.
Mm-hmm.
So now tell us a little bit about MyHa. How did you get involved in that? Your first season was 2021-2022 season. You only played 6 games. You started out a little rocky. You only had the 1 goal, but you had a couple assists. And but like you said before, you're not really much of a shooter, but you made some drastic changes from that first season to your second season because you really turned it up.
Yeah, so I think the big thing with that was MyHa, and a lot of people don't understand that when they're coming from different roller leagues, because the one thing I noticed about Western PA is we play a little bit softer than we, Eastern PA does. So I learned that whenever I went to Slippery Rock, we'd go over to, the east side of the state and we're getting bodied and all that other stuff. So it catches you off guard. Well, that was sort of the same thing going into MyHa. I didn't realize how physical it was going to be, which I'm all about a physical game. I love it, but you sort of got to tiptoe around that in the western part of the state because you're going to get called for a lot of stuff in the leagues around here. So, I got my first taste whenever I played those 6 games. We were a fill-in team too, so we just sort of threw guys together on a team. So there wasn't much chemistry. So it was just new to it. But after I played those 6 games, I was like, okay, yes, I want to be in this league. And that's whenever Jake and Sean Takashi were like, okay, we're putting in a team. And I was all game from there. So I decided to like actually train a little bit, drop down a little bit of weight, and try to actually like put on a good front for, Grove City hockey, show them what we're made of, what we can do. And definitely turned the season around. I felt like I was shooting the puck a little bit more. So I was putting some pucks in the net and just seeing the rink a little bit better and just skating better. So it was a little bit of a hard transition, but after like going into my second season, I was like, okay, I'm ready to actually compete in this league instead of just being one of those like bottom feeder type of guys.
Yeah, and you did. You had 15 games. You had 13 goals, which is impressive. You had 10 assists and for 1.5 points per game. So you were definitely a major contributor to your team for that second season. Still early this year. You guys have only played one tournament, right?
Yeah, we had just the Grove City tournament. We played we only made it through 3 games, so we played Detroit Revolution for 2 of them, very good team. And then we played Buffalo Herd. They rebranded this year. I can't remember what their name is, who's one of the top teams as well.
Yeah, the Buffalo Rastafarians, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, and they're a very skilled team as well. So we didn't really luck out with playing 2 of the top teams at Grove City weekend, which it honestly is really nice though, because it gets us ready, gets us like into the game. Mm-hmm. But whenever you sort of want to start off against like a slower team just to sort of get your legs back, we didn't really get a chance to do that. But it was nice to jump in, and I always love playing teams like that because there's a lot of physicality where there's a lot of chirping, and they're familiar faces as well. So, you're BSing on the rink a little bit, just, saying hi to kids you were talking to last year.
Yeah. Isn't that cool about roller hockey is that you can go out there. You guys can battle each other out, go off the rink, have a beer, and then go back on the rink and beat the crap out of each other.
Yeah, that reminds me of Buffalo Fusion last year. If you notice, we played them, I can't even remember how many times, 2, 3 times. They were all very, very close games, and we were all BSing after the game to each other. Like, we'd be talking shit on the rink, hitting each other and all that other stuff, and then we were like best friends after. Yeah. So shout out to Buffalo Fusion. Those guys are cool. Big fan of them.
Well, and shout out to Jake for jumping in net the one game, your championship game against the Buffalo Fusion in a shootout, if I'm not mistaken, right?
Actually, it was in overtime. And I remember this so vividly because this is probably one of my favorite hockey moments of all time. And, I played a lot of hockey, but this was insane because I believe we were down 5-1. We were down by a good chunk of goals with probably about 10 minutes left in the third. And we just started chipping away. We were getting great puck possession, just a lot of offensive pressure. We got a power play or 2. And we were all contributing, and we were able to tie the game up. And I still remember taking the face off. I think it was in overtime, and I can't remember who I was going up against. Was like, damn, you guys don't back off. And I'm like, yeah, that's Grove City hockey for you. And little do they know we have a backup goalie, and who's usually our best defenseman. And we ended up scoring in overtime. My line mate Kozin came down, and he threw a shot on net, and I just crashed the net and got a rebound and scored in overtime. And I just remember that game just because it's just coming down from, a couple goals just to fight back with the backup goalie or goalie sick. Like, it just, I don't know, the emotions started to go, and it was fantastic.
Yeah, and it's one of those rare moments where, you get a chance to truly, you put everything else that's going on outside the world behind you. You just get to focus on what's going on in the moment. And that moment, you created a freaking memory that's going to last your lifetime. And which is what hockey really does, is it gives you a chance to live in the moment, presents you an opportunity. You either take that opportunity and you do something with it, or you bust on it. And you made it happen. So that's awesome, man. Kudos to you, bro.
Thank you. Yeah, that was like, that's a good description. There's this video that I always see on like Facebook and Instagram where it's like you hear all this loud commotion and this player is walking up to the rink, and then the second that he steps on the rink, it's just silence. And I'm like, that's so accurate. People who don't play hockey, they might have that, basketball players the second they step on the court, or, baseball the second you're in the diamond or whatever. But like, that's just complete accuracy on that feeling whenever you step on the rink. Nothing else matters for the hour or 2 hours that you're playing. and you get to snap out of reality for a little bit and just enjoy, doing something that you love to do.
Yeah, it's such an amazing sport to play. So talk to me a little bit about. You guys have 3 more tournaments left. Do you remember off the top of your head which 3 you guys have left?
So I know we traveled.
Are you going to be in Detroit?
I'm trying to think exactly. I know we have 2 in March. One's Grove City weekend, and then we do go to Detroit. I don't know if it's Taylor or Fraser. So we're at one of those. I'm not sure if one is in March. I just know we travel to Detroit. I just can't remember which one. And then we'll be hitting up Buffalo like we always do at the end of April.
Cool. Yeah, and then that should put you in a good position, hopefully, to make a run. You guys just missed the playoffs last year, right?
Yeah, that was that was a heartbreak. We came into the weekend. I feel like we were probably like a little bit cockier than we should have been because we came off of, I believe, 2 back-to-back, tournament wins. Mm-hmm. We started off very, very slow, and if you looked at our stats last year, we did not do well on Saturdays.
No. Well, but that's the beauty of it, though, is that the team that I put together in right after I got back from Africa, so it would have been 2012, late 2012, early 2013. So it would have been that 2013 season. That was right before my back finally said, "You know what? It's done." I got a chance to play with the Fusion Boys in 2012, and then in January we put in our Assassins team, which became the Great Lakes Growlers. We would go 1-1, 0-2 on Saturday, and then Sunday we would always win the ship. We had no idea what it was, but we would always go 1-1, 0-2, ship.
It's just weird how that works, and that's why I like the way this league's set up. It gives you a chance to come back, and last year Saturdays just definitely weren't our friends. When we went up to Buffalo, we went off of 2 back-to-back championships, both at Grove City, and we tend to struggle away from home too a little bit. I think it might be like Grove City's ranks a little bit smaller, as everyone knows, and I think it's just a little bit of an adjustment. And so we dropped some games. We should have probably at least won them when we should have won in Buffalo, and then we ended up playing our friends against the Fusion. I went down with an injury, and my line mate also went down with an injury. Same exact injury, about 5 minutes apart, and we were both done for the game. And then I believe the Fusion scored with probably about 20 seconds left to take the lead and just completely kill our playoff hopes. I think if we win that game or even go into overtime, I think we make playoffs. I couldn't remember the whole scenario, but
I think you guys are 1 point away from being in the playoffs, if I remember correctly. But you know what? I mean, that's last year. This year, tell me a little bit about your squad. How are you guys looking at it? Again, you had the one game or one tournament didn't do as well as you'd hoped, but I always take that first weekend is always a gamble. Either you're going to play really well, or you're going to be or you're going to be really bad. But it's all about how you respond on your next tournament. So what you guys got in store for us?
Yeah, so after that first weekend that we had playing those higher end teams, I think we ended up going 1-1 maybe. Yeah, we won 1 in overtime, we lost 1, and then we lost in a shootout or overtime, something along those lines. There's a lot of upside that I was seeing from our team. We added a new goalie, Alex New, who he wasn't at that tournament. We had our old goalie step in, so Brandon Britton, who played extremely well that weekend. I was so proud of him. But so we added Alex New, so he should probably be at our next tournament. We also added 2 new players. We added Sam Isacco, which if you're looking at the stats, he was actually leading our team, I believe, after that last weekend. And then Greg Copley, who's a guy that's my size, a little bit on the older side, but he's a bigger body. And once he gets his legs turning, you don't want to get in his way, honestly. He's a big boy. So those are some changes that we made. Anyone who I forgot to mention, I'm sorry. It's hard to think of this off the top of my head. But adding Sam. Sam's more of a like a very skilled player, and then we paired him up with Tyler Cozen, and they clicked. They really clicked. So that's something I'm looking forward to at our next tournament to see how they continue with their progress, because they definitely look very, very good with how they were moving the puck. They were scoring. They were doing everything that a captain can ask out of a line for sure. So that's what I'm looking forward to. We had like the same foundation as well. So just seeing the chemistry grow as the weekends go on and as the years go on is the other thing I'm really looking forward to as well.
Cool. Now, which teams are you looking forward to playing against? Obviously, the Buffalo Fusion is one, because you guys have such a storied rivalry building, but yeah, it's one built on respect and admiration, because you guys play each other so aggressively, and it's a clean game for majority of the time, for majority of the games. So what teams are you looking forward to playing against? Which teams are you looking forward to, I want to play them, but I want to beat them in the finals, so or vice versa?
Just like a lot of the top teams from last year, D-Rev's always won. They're a very well coached team. They click very well. I feel like they've been playing together for years. I'm still newer to Maiha, but you can just see the chemistry that they have there. The Rastafarians definitely as well, because we played them, I think, once or twice last year, played them once this year, and they're a very, very skilled team, but they're a team that you want to beat. Like, I don't know what it is. You just want to beat them, and losing to them, it sort of sucks a little bit, but it is what it is. The Roller Dactyls are always a fun team to play. I always look forward to playing against them. A bunch of older guys that like to joke around a little bit, and definitely keep the game really, nice and fun. And Fusion, of course. And outside of that, I can't really think of too many teams off the top of my head that really just stand out. But those are ones that we played, throughout the previous, years. And it's just, they're fun to play against. That's what I look forward to. But I also look forward to playing against new teams as well. You get to see different skill sets and see how you compare to, a faster team or a more physical team. And then me as a captain, I can just, make adjustments as needed as well. So, it's like one of those things, like whatever a team throws at us, and see how we do against it.
Yeah. Well, cool. Well, that's going to do it for this episode. Skyler, I want to thank you so much for taking the time to jump on the pod. Sorry we had a little bit of a late start, but, hey, when baby is cranky, baby's cranky.
Yeah, of course.
So, all right, man. Well, again, thanks a lot so much. I cannot wait to see how you guys do in the next 3 tournaments. When you get there, if you are going to be in the Fraser Taylor, I'm not sure which one I'm going to yet. I know it's whichever one's in February 2nd. Maybe I'll run into you and we can shoot the breeze when we're in person this time.
All right. That sounds good to me, Ben.
All right, bud. Take care.
Yep. You too.
Get it! Yeah!
Absolutely. Didn't even need to take 2 shooters.